One of the reasons why I like DVDs is often the case that it comes with. I often hate stickers and all that crap that goes on it, but I've mellowed out on that over the years. Nowadays, when I see a bunch of stickers and the like on these cases, I often wonder how many hands this thing passed through before it got into mine. And it passed through at least three, from what I could tell. There's a sticker on here that got another sticker placed over it. There's this sticker selling it for $1 at this store, and then they got rid of it. And then it was passed into a pawn shop where I picked it up for 25 cents. This case has seen many hands. It was bought new, it was sold to a store, then it was sold to another store, and then it was sold to a pawn shop, and then it got into my hands. And the disc still works. I was able to get through the entire thing. The disc is still in good condition. So I'm guessing it's because the film is so subpar that it's not that beat up. What does that mean? It means somebody watched it once, found it was crap, and got rid of it. Somebody else fell for the case, bought it, watched it, found out it was crap, and got rid of it, etc. Repeat. Because I guess I could tell it must have only been watched a handful of times. The disc is decent, it's in good condition. But yeah, the movie's not that great. When I watched The Apocalypse, the first thing I took away from it is this has that retro science channel, sci-fi channel, 90s shtick feel. It doesn't feel like modern day filmmaking garbage. It feels like an older time period. So I looked it up. I had no idea when this was made. It was made in the 90s. Yeah, I was on point there. It had fun little cheap productions that reminded me of the type of cheap money-saving productions that Star Trek TOS used to do. There's probably even cheaper sets than TOS had. The actors are very fun. The actors are trying their butts off on a film that is this. The dialogue is very cheesy. The people are delivering the cheesy lines with gusto, making it very entertaining to watch. The story is very basic, but it feels like kind of feels like an episode of TOS that you might watch. Just get rid of the cheesy dialogue and put in some smarter dialogue. Replace this captain lady with Kirk. Replace this dude with some other villain. Replace that guy with Spock. And you got a TOS episode on your hands. What's the story? Well, a crew in a starship finds another starship, a derelict, floating in space. And they find there's a lot of cargo on board. And this is where it diverges from TOS. This is obviously a salvage mission. They want to collect all the crap so they could sell it. But normally in a TOS episode, they would find vessels like this floating out in space. They don't really want the cargo, but they want to know what happened to it. They want to know why it's out there in space. So they go on board to find out what happened to the crew. And all the crew's gone. All the crew is gone. But the moment they get on the ship, they find that it has been infected with a virus, with an AI almost. A virus where this lady keeps coming on screen repeating Shakespeare quotes. And there's tons of passwords from Shakespeare quotes that you have to complete the sentence to be or not to be that. And then there's blank. Then you type in the question, and then it goes to another. It's an infinite loop of Shakespeare quotes, and you can never get through the system to activate the helm, navigation, or anything like that. And the ship somehow wakes up as soon as you wake the computer up, and it starts heading on a course, head straight for Earth for a crash landing. And with all the crap on board, this cargo is very explosive. It's going to cause one of the biggest nuclear explosions ever. It's going to crash onto the ship almost to do as much damage as if the moon crashed onto Earth. That's how big of a catastrophic catastrophe this would have been. And so this crew that's trapped on this ship is split up between two teams. This dude who wants the cargo for himself, and this girl who is betrayed by this dude and just wants to survive and get off the ship. And so these two teams end up fighting each other on this ship while the ship is on a time limit crunch heading straight for a crash course onto Earth. Once they are able to stop the bad guy, they have to stop the AI somehow and try to trick it somehow, trick the programming, because it blocked out most of the controls. But the self-destruct sequence is okay. They did probably the AI programmer didn't expect you to blow up the ship, so the self-destruct sequence is put in for a certain portion of the ship to cause it to have a little boomerangy, slingy, shotty effect. What does that mean? Well, I have to pull out my pad and paper for this, obviously. So, here's Earth right here, right? This is Earth. Here's our Earth right there, right? And let's say this is the ship over here. We're just gonna put this terrible little device here. This is your ship. It's just floating out there in space, right? Just floating out there in space, and it wakes up for a crash course, right? And so it's currently right here, right? We're on the wire, and then they initiate the explosion. There's an explosion on this side of the ship, on this side right here, and this explosion would cause it to go slightly over to barely miss the planet, so that your self-destruct sequence doesn't blow up on the planet Earth itself. You save everybody, but then the people who initiated the sequence, which is the main girl, they probably don't get to make it off the ship, and they're probably going to die there, but they at least saved planet Earth. It is a very entertaining, if very low budget romp. It's the type of film that you go, there's nothing on cable, let's watch this on the Sci-Fi Channel. Well, we no longer have that time period. We're no longer in the era of cable where there's nothing on. Nowadays we have access to the internet where anything and everything is all at our fingertips. We could just type in whatever we want to watch, and we can eventually get around to watching it. Through whatever means you're able to do so with. That means movies like The Apocalypse no longer have the draw that they normally would have. Now that we have access to so many films, we can be far more picky with our time and say, hey, I would rather watch something that's far more competently made, like maybe Event Horizon, rather than The Apocalypse. Meaning nobody is probably ever going to watch The Apocalypse, except very, very rarely. And in that case, it's probably people who are science fiction hounds, who would often pick up those 50 film sets by Mill Creek, the drive-in theater films. This time they're buying the 50 film science fiction set. And for the science fiction hounds who watch that type of garbage, which is me, would end up watching the movies like this. Other than that, I can't see too many reasons for somebody to get around to watching The Apocalypse. It's not a great movie, but it's not bad either. It's an aesthetic, okay? If this film was made in, let's say, 2022 or something, it would probably be made on an iPhone or something, with digital filmmaking, with the audio quality being very clear but not good sound balancing, with like actual balancing how actual sound people would do things while you're filming with a film camera and a crew like that. Nowadays, it's a little bit like just put directly whatever the iPhone recorded, and that's what they put out there on the Tubi to be watched. This had to do a little bit more than just use an iPhone. There was no iPhone in the late 90s, so they had to do other methods to get the film filmed. So that type of aesthetic of a bad movie made pre-iPhone digital era is actually a pretty interesting time period. I would be completely honest with you. It's an interesting time period, and for that reason, I'd say give this a look.